How was it when you guys got into schools and primary schools? How was that?
So when I came here, I was too old to go to primary school. I was 12 years old when I came to Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, I could not go to primary school. I had to jump straight into high school, year 7, which was difficult because I only had like the basic education. You know your ABCs and 1, 2, 3s and whatnot, but English was lacking. Accent is not in there. Man, when I came here and I heard Australians speak, it sounded like gibberish in my ears. It sounded like a different language. Honestly, it's like right now you hear somebody, from other European countries like Serbia or Croatia, and they're speaking. You don't understand it.
Yeah.
So that's what it was like when I heard them speaking English here at the time. Could not put anything together.
Yeah. How was your school? Because I was lucky enough to go to school in Richmond, and the primary school was full of, people from African backgrounds and also Asian backgrounds. So I personally never felt like an outsider. I loved it, and it was so fun. Did you feel like an outsider? And how was high school for you?
I felt like an outsider in the sense that I knew I was a refugee. I knew that I'm an African coming into, this Australian environment. That was always there. And then there were other South Sudanese students at school as well. Now, those students, we formed friendship, but they also came from Egypt. So if you come from East Africa, Kenya, Uganda, and then there's others who come from Egypt, there is still differences between, how we are, our mentality, how we do things and whatnot. So we became friends, but at the same time as well, there were some barriers we had to breach eventually, So even if we hang out, you're more likely to hang out with somebody who came from East Africa because you understand each other more. Whereas if you came through Egypt, then you want to hang out with someone who came from Egypt because you understand each other more. But over the years, though, we started to grow together and breach those gaps. But yeah, being in high school at the time was a struggle to begin with. Year 7, year 8, and then year 9, you finally understand life in Australia, and you now become a part of it and you adapt.
How did you stay focused and continue high school and then eventually graduate?
So in high school, I can't even lie, I was distracted. Yeah, I was distracted in high school. I found it hard to stay focused at the time because I was in my teenage years and I was starting to find myself, or at least I was searching for my identity, to know who I am as a person. And to find your identity, there are so many other factors around you that play a part in it. So a lot of the time, the influence comes from people around you, your environment. So at that time in high school, I was looking at, what was cool, considered cool, young people who were very popular and seeing their behaviors and what they do. And then you sort of start to act like the way they do as well, because you feel like that's more accepted or, socially accepted and welcoming. So I went through a lot of identity crisis throughout high school because I knew what I had been taught at home, and then I'm seeing something else now in schools and social media and whatnot. So I'm asking myself, who am I and who do I want to be in life? And I got into a lot of trouble. In fact, I knew at the time that I would be doing some dumb things, but because they were considered popular or more acceptable as well, like be fighting in school, you appeared cool. Deep down, from my programming and where I was raised, I know for a fact that I should know better, I should do better. But because of the environment I was in, I was doing it anyway. I became a troublemaker, and I just didn't focus at all. I went through each year just pushing through, not because I wanted to, achieve a great outcome academically and then go into university. That wasn't really the vision yet at the time. Yeah.
If you could go back 15 years with the knowledge you have now, what advice would you give 15-year-old Bo Mpian?
Oh man, nah. I think one thing that I would tell that young man: reflect hard, know who you are, and value who you are. Let who you are be formed internally rather than what you see externally. Like what are the values that you've been taught? What are the values that you truly want to have as a part of you? Like respect, self-image, value what you think about yourself more than what others think of you, because that's where we go wrong. We want others to validate us, You know, I want you to tell me something that makes me feel cool, or if you say that I'm not cool, all of a sudden that becomes the most important thing in my mind, and I'm now like, I'm impacted negatively. So a young person going through identity crisis or trying to find or form their self-image or self-identity has to focus on values that can't be taken away from you. Like social status is not a value. Branding, those things aren't really values. Those are misaligned values. Real values are, are you a kind person? You know, do you respect other people? You know, do you give? Do you not judge other people? Like, this is how you build a strong identity that can't be taken away from you. And that's how you can begin to then have confidence. And now you do what you want to do because you know that it serves your purpose and also it suits your identity. I think that's the kind of conversation I would have with a 15-year-old me.
I love that. And it sounds like you're lucky enough to know the values that you got instilled by your parents. What three of them that were the most important things that you were very happy that you learned?
Always give without expecting something in return. Like, give because, especially where we come from, we're taught to share, you know, and it was and is a survival mechanism. When we are living together with a tribe, we share with each other. We give. Now, if I give you something and I'm expecting you to return it back to me, I'm not really giving, am I? You know, it should not be. It's not transactional. Give because you want to fully give. And then they've also, like my parents have also always taught me to just love unconditionally. Like love people, give love even when you don't receive it back. And as human beings, I think there's nothing that is more powerful than the love that we have in our hearts. Because if you have love in your heart, then it means you're pure-hearted. And if you're pure-hearted, then you're accepting of every single person, regardless where they come from, or you don't judge as well. And I think the third thing is probably to do with respect, like endless respect. Like, we know that, and this is in our culture as well, you know, we are taught to always respect elders, respect those who are younger than you, respect your parents, respect people. When you respect others, it means you also have self-respect too. Because if you don't have respect for others, then you don't respect yourself. So those things are, I think they're life lessons that I will always cherish, and I will pass them on to, you know, the younger generation and also my future family.